This isn't fantasy football, it's real competition. Welcome to the NFL Survivor Tournament. You versus the field. $100 to enter, $100,000 in total prizes, $50K to the winner. Start each week with a $100K bankroll. Pick games, win returns. Top 80% survive. Bottom 20%, you're out. Bankroll resets weekly. No carryover. 20 weeks, $100K. Will you take home the cash? Sign up, lock in, and let's see if you've got the guts to survive.
Starting in hour number 2. We caught up with Darius Gray from St. Christopher after practice, so we'll air his interview that we had with him yesterday, starting off with hour number 2, along with his head coach, Lance Clayland. It was super, super awesome conversation. So that's coming up in hour number 2. And we are super, super excited to debut our brand new segment as well with Ortho Virginia. They're a proud sponsor of our Talk of the Town stuff going around to high school games every Friday, highlighting student athletes every single Wednesday as well. And along with that, on Wednesdays, we'll be joined with Ortho Virginia doctors telling us everything that they've got going on. And today, the debut one, it's Dr. Justin Dumont, and he's joining us today to talk with pain management, all of that fun stuff. Dr. Dumont, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to chat with us. Good morning. How you doing? That's awesome. I want to dive into it. Kind of love to chat because this is in the news right now. A lot of stuff going on with Matthew Stafford, with Micah Parsons. Two guys I know you don't necessarily work with, but they're going through some pain management of themselves. I think Stafford is having an epidural, right? And like that seems to be an insane jump. But I want to know, can you walk us through the process of dealing with pain like that, and how bad must it actually be for them to need epidurals?
Number 2, right? So it's a pretty common condition, and oftentimes what ends up happening, if we look at acute injuries, you can have, sometimes, I don't know the whole situation of what's going on with him, but what can happen is you can have sometimes some discs can be herniated and can be compressing nerves, and that can be very painful. And what that can cause you to have, loss of mobility because your body's trying to protect itself in that acute phase. But then sometimes what happens is if a nerve is getting pressed on enough, it can cause symptoms, especially in your back, going all the way down your leg, which can limit your ability to do day-to-day tasks, tie your shoe, bend over, and let alone try to, complete a pass, 50 yards down the line to a receiver. So it can be very painful. Speaking from personal experience, I've had similar issues as well, and I can tell you it can be very painful. Fortunately, oftentimes when we look at acute injuries, things can get better with a period of time, but we look at an athlete and what ends up happening is their window to try to get better is a lot smaller than folks like myself and some others that are not playing in the NFL. But it can be a horribly painful experience. I mean, I have patients tell me all the time, I'd rather have natural childbirth rather than have acute back pain going down my leg called sciatica. So it's painful for sure.
So we hear the word epidural used a lot, like around football players. We also hear it with pregnancy a lot. Like that is what is used if people choose to use that. What is exactly an epidural? I've been lucky enough never to have one. So can you kind of explain to us what that is? Is it just a souped up painkiller?
No. So what the epidural space is, it is a space in the back part of the spine where medication can be safely deposited. So let's take the example of pregnancy, right? So in pregnancy, what ends up happening is there is a catheter that may be placed in, and medication is delivered kind of continuously to help to continue to block those nerves during that period of time. When we look at an epidural from the standpoint of a back injection as, say, an outpatient, it's a little bit different in that we're not placing a catheter. However, we are accessing this space. It is a space that is in the back part of the spine. It's not in the spinal cord or in the spinal nerves itself. It's in this area that's kind of in the back part, and it covers that area. So it gives us an avenue to deliver medication close to where those nerves are, to try to help with delivering some medications that can help with some of the pain that they may having. The key is oftentimes there's sometimes different types of medications used, so in an epidural for pregnancy, it's oftentimes, there's like a lidocaine type medication that's delivered like a medicine that helps with that. But in the outpatient setting, typically when we're treating back pain going down the legs, oftentimes we're using a steroid, and that steroid, what that does is when there's, say, a disc or something that's pushing up against the nerve, causing acute pain, that can be painful, and there's an inflammatory process that occurs. So the steroid itself, we deliver it near that area to try to help reduce some of the inflammation and irritation that's occurring because of, let's say, the disc pushing on the nerve. So it's a strategy to help address that acute pain.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Another player that I know you guys aren't working with, but it was in the headlines a lot last year, right? Was Christian McCaffrey dealing with this tendonitis, his calf tendonitis. How do you deal with that type of pain, that type of pain management? Because I was in marching band, and I know my marching band tendonitis with my shoulders, nothing would happen with Christian McCaffrey back in high school. But that is something that you kind of have to manage through and deal with the pain, because it's not something you can get rid of totally, I feel like. Correct me if I'm wrong. You are literally the doctor in this scenario.
Sure. So if we look at pain and we look at what can cause pain, there are numerous types of sources of pain, right? So we were talking a little bit about neuropathic or nerve pain, right? But there can also be pain like nociceptive, meaning from tissue, muscle, tendons, ligaments, and variety of things can cause pain. Pain is a normal response in our body, right? Like our body, we use pain as a way to help us to modify things that we're doing and help us to understand what's happening within our body. So it's not something that, I think, we oftentimes hear about pain and we go, oh, it's horrible, but it is a natural process. Our body, we rely on that so that we can modify and change things and we can prevent injury. So when we look at ligamentous or tendon injuries, oftentimes those are due to overuse, right? So continuous repetitive types of things that can put wear and tear on tendons and ligaments. And so that how we treat that is a little different than sometimes where, say, I'm treating folks that may have nerve pain due to degenerative causes, right? So wear and tear breakdown, that's normal unfortunately, as we get a bit older and our bodies degenerate. So how we treat it, and that's really what's important when you see a doctor and you're getting evaluated. The goal is, asking some of those probing questions to understand how long has this been going on. Are there certain things that you're doing repetitively that may contribute to that? Because that will alter the plan of how things are done, right? And so from an athletic standpoint, oftentimes that can be modifying maybe how they're doing certain things, or maybe thinking about, some regenerative options. Again, the windows tend to be a little shorter. I need to get back to work, or I need to get back to playing, as opposed to, a lot of times in our setting with older patients, let's say, where they're not so much concerned about going back on the field, but they're concerned about playing with their grandkids and doing the day-to-day tasks. So it's really super important, to be able, when you're seeing somebody about this, pain, let's say, in your body, to be able to kind of think back about, okay, what were some things that maybe led to this? Was there an injury? Was there trauma? Did I start a new exercise program? Did I just start running? Did I start playing pickleball a lot? These are things that we see a lot. It's, that folks start new activities and they're repetitive over and over again. And that may lead to, again, some of that, we call it kind of nociceptive type of pain, where it's tissue, muscle, ligament type of stuff.
Dr. Dumont joining us this morning from Ortho Virginia. You brought up pickleball. I want to dive into that a little bit. Have you seen an uptick in injuries because of pickleball?
I see a fair amount. Yeah, I think for me, Jack, my kind of my mode of operation for most of my patients is I want people moving, right? Like that's the key, right? And sure, we're gonna have maybe blips along the way where pain may limit us, but my goal is I want people, whether they're an athlete or if they're going out and playing recreational pickleball, I want them to participate in those things. But to answer your question, yeah, I've seen a fair amount of folks. It's an engaging sport. I mean, I haven't gotten into myself. I've played a little bit here and there, but I can see why it would be a fun sport. It's, I think the community aspect of it is amazing. I love that. I mean, a lot of my patients that are participating in it, they've developed relationships, and that relationship piece is super important from an exercise standpoint. If you're doing things solo, sometimes it's hard to keep going. So I love the fact that people are connecting with others, and it's a community. But there is some casualties along the way where you start to do things over and over again, where it can be you can start to see some overuse injuries.
So we were talking a little bit earlier, and you kept mentioning it's a shorter window for these professional athletes to try and get them better compared to if you or I maybe heard something. We don't have to get back to 100% superhuman level abilities necessarily in 2, 3, 4 weeks or something along those lines. How is the pain management approach different for the athletes when you maybe are dealing with them compared to a regular person?
Yeah. Well, I think if we take a step back, one of the important things that I always try to get across early when I meet a patient is what are their goals, right? And so, when we look at healthcare is not just me telling somebody what they should do. It's a shared decision-making process, right? So, what's really important is to really clarify what are the goals and expectations, because I may have, I've had patients where I got a pickleball tournament I got in a couple of weeks. What can I do to get there? And so the conversation is, okay, we have to modify. So, I try to look at when everybody comes in and try to really gauge, all right, like what are we really trying to get accomplished here? Because we can, we may not be 100% pain free, and it may not be safe to do something, or it may be safe, but it may hurt, right? And so that's really where it comes, that whole decision-making process, and we have a shared decision-making process is really important for me. Okay. And that's kind of a big part of how I try to practice is, I try not to say, okay, just because they're an athlete, they get, treated this way, but universally, I mean, if participating in that pickleball tournament is important for you, it's important for me. So let's figure out how we can get you there, right? Safely, obviously.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dr. Dumont from Ortho Virginia joining us on this Wednesday morning. Where can listeners go schedule an appointment at Ortho Virginia with you all, find out which pain management options might be best for them?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so, you can definitely go on orthovirginia.com. There's kind of a big section that'll give you an opportunity if you want to schedule. If you have my chart, you can schedule an appointment. If you would like to call our main call center, that number is 804-915-1910. You can also call and make an appointment that way as well. And so, probably the best thing though is just go online first. If you've been to Ortho Virginia and you have created that my chart account, you can definitely get access and get an appointment with me or any of my other colleagues.
Awesome. Dr. Dumont, thank you so much for taking some time out of your morning to chat with us. We look forward to catching up again down the road, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.
All right. Appreciate you, Jack. Have a great day.
You as well. There goes Dr. Dumont from Ortho Virginia, taking some time out of his morning to chat with us. We greatly appreciate it. And now it's time to update you with what you may have missed in the wide world of sports. All right, Ohio State, the new #1 team in the country after the Buckeyes' opening weekend win over Arch Manning and Texas. Other notable moves in the AP Top 25, Florida State went from being unranked to 14th. Alabama fell from 8th to 21st, and Texas dropped to 7th after being the AP #1 in the preseason. That's the furthest drop for a preseason #1 since 1988. Around the NFL, the Giants have made Jackson Dart the QB2, officially backing up Russell Wilson to start the season. The Bucs have signed Luke Goedeke, the right tackle, to a 4-year deal worth up to $90 million. $50 million of that is guaranteed. Micah Parsons' agent went on First Take yesterday to shed some light on the entire situation that unfolded in Dallas. He said, quote, "I think the most important thing is Micah wanted to be a Cowboy. He grew up cheering for the Cowboys, wore the blue and white at Penn State, wore it in the NFL with the Cowboys. He wanted to be a Cowboy. We did everything we could for him to remain a Cowboy." His agent even went on to say that he would have played for Dallas this season if a deal would not have been reached. The Commanders brought free agent wide receiver Kendrick Bourne in yesterday. Bourne had visited the 49ers earlier this week, did not agree on a deal, so he found his way to D.C. yesterday. Our Commanders insider Lake Lewis is reporting that there should be an announcement of him signing with the Commanders sometime soon. In MLB news and notes, Shohei Ohtani makes history again, playing in his 294th game with the Dodgers. He became the fastest to reach 100 home runs in team history, ahead of Gary Sheffield, who did it in 399. Just for comparison's sake, it took him 444 games to hit 100 home runs with the Angels. It was a great day for Shohei, but unfortunately, the Dodgers did fall on the momentous day, 9-7 to the Pirates. Colorado Rockies pitcher Kyle Freeland, along with San Francisco third baseman Matt Chapman, shortstop Willy Adames, the three of them were ejected in last night's game. It was a 7-4 Giants win, following a benches-clearing brawl that started after Rafael Devers hit a 2-run home run in the first inning. Other scores, the Nationals beat the Marlins 5-2 in D.C. The Mets beat the Tigers in Detroit 12-5. The Cubs defended the comfy confines with a 4-3 win over the Braves, and the Orioles downed the Padres 6-2. So that's what you may have missed in the wide world of sports overnight. A big time brawl in the MLB yesterday. So that's always fun. In the first inning, a Rafael Devers home run did him in. We've got a great show coming up in hour number 2, our first ever Talk of the Town. We're catching up with Darius Gray after his 2-sack performance, 1 rushing touchdown as well for the St. Christopher lineman, offensive and defensive, and a little running back in there. We caught up with him as well as his head coach. So that's coming up in hour number 2. Between now and then, we'd love to hear from you. 804-327-0888. You can call that number. Of course, you can text that number. And if you want to get involved on the stream, just head on over to Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. We're up there, over there. Type in ESPN Richmond. We'll pop right on up, and you can watch. You can be part of the show there by commenting, liking, and subscribing. We appreciate it all. And with that, we're going to get a break in. On the other side, talk about some major storylines that we're keeping track of ahead of the NFL kickoff, which is tomorrow. We'll also be at Dave & Buster's tomorrow to kick off the NFL season from 6 to 8. We've got Raise and Hail from 6 to 7, then countdown to kickoff from 7 until 7:45 until coverage begins. So you don't want to miss that over at Dave & Buster's in Shore Pump. We're going to take a quick break. Be back with more Fitz the Bill on this midweek edition, 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's all to 321-321.
Looking for the perfect golf course? Check out RV VA's best-kept secret, Queenfield Golf Club, just a few minutes past Mechanicsville. Reserve your tee time today at queenfieldgolf.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
106.1 ESPN traffic.
Expect heavy traffic heading north on Perham Road between September Drive and Patterson Avenue. We're seeing an accident on 28th Street just north of 9 Mile Road. Some delays heading west on 64 between Mechanicsville Turnpike and 95. And for those of you heading north on 95, expect some backup between Bells Road and Maury Street.
It's the season premiere of Behind the Web with Richmond football coach Russ Huesman this Thursday, noon to 1 at Bar West, 5811 Grove Avenue. Join us for lunch and Spider football talk. Or if you can't make it, catch it live Thursday at noon right here at 106.1 ESPN.
Welcome back in. Fitz the Bill on this Wednesday, September 3rd. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick Allen alongside. Great song because the NFL season is getting underway tomorrow, and we've got some storylines to talk about because there's been a lot of movement. There's been a lot of news, especially over the last month, that we kind of have to sort through, and some things we may have missed. Like, I don't know about you, Alan. I forgot Baltimore has a new kicker. I forgot about all that drama.
Yeah, I'm not a kicker. Like, I don't pay attention to kickers. No.
They're so important to the game of football.
They're important to football. They're important to bets, but I still don't pay a lot of attention to it.
Man,
I'm
Hater.
Urban Meyer, man.
Yeah, you're gonna kick a kicker. You're gonna kick a kicker.
I would never do that.
I can't believe Urban Meyer did that. That's absolutely insane.
You know what's funny? I actually favor punters more than place kickers. I do pay attention to.
You're a big punt guy?
Yeah, I'm a defensive minded person. So.
All right. Well, that's fair. Well, that is one storyline to kind of watch, the kicker situation unfolding in Baltimore after everything that went down with Justin Tucker. Never mind. He's gone. And so they've brought in a new kicker. First time in what felt like a decade. They're testing in a new, like 12 years.
Yeah, it's
decade
been a
plus.
long time.
And he was Mr. Automatic. Although the last 2 seasons he had been kind of bad. So maybe it was the right time to also move off from him. But there's a lot of other storylines going around. One was interesting is Jackson Dart officially being named QB2. Not necessarily a shock, but I think there were some people that thought that he could potentially be QB3 for that Giants team because you also have Jameis Winston on that roster. Jameis Winston now, I think at this point in his career, is more of a quote-unquote glue guy. And so that is kind of his role with New York, where Jackson Dart is being groomed to be the QB1, if not this year, then next year, because Russell Wilson only on that 1-year deal. It very well could be something where they're setting Jackson Dart up to have success moving forward. We chatted with Amani Toomer yesterday about his thoughts on Jackson Dart maybe being QB1. Amani Toomer, the former New York Giant, the Super Bowl champion, he has his finger on the pulse of all things happening with the New York Giants. He shared a very interesting thought on Jackson Dart and if he thinks Dart should be QB1 at all this season. I was going to ask you about Jackson Dart and if you think that he will have an opportunity to jump into that QB1 role at any point this season, or if you think it will be Russell Wilson for the majority or for all of the season.
Well, I don't want him to have the QB1 this year. And you got to think about some of the quarterbacks that transition the best. The NFL is not a finishing school. The NFL is a place where you come in when we're developed. I think of Patrick Mahomes and the way he took a year. I think of Aaron Rodgers, the way he took a couple years. I think sitting out and not letting everybody see your warts as a young quarterback, especially the mentality that, the confidence that is affected by struggling when people who are super successful who get drafted in the first round. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that can take that pressure and the failure and keep moving forward when they've just been so hyper successful throughout their entire career.
So that is a very interesting outlook on him. And he mentioned the guys like Mahomes, who sat for a little bit, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. Some of the better quarterbacks in the NFL right now have spent some time on the bench to begin their career, and that's what is going to happen for Jackson Dart. I'm still not the biggest fan of drafting Jackson Dart. I'm going to go on record and say that. I didn't love trading back up into the first round to get Jackson Dart. I thought he'd probably be there for you at the start of the second round. You had to give up future draft capital, but if it all works out, then, the ends justify the means in this case. He's going to start the year on QB2. Great to see that. Not unexpected, but they won't be rushing in the rookie quarterback into that QB1 spot over there with the New York Giants. So Russell Wilson will get yet another chance. He's been, since his Seattle days, he's still searching for that same level of success. Maybe the Giants can do it. Not saying they are the 2012 Seahawks back when he was a rookie on his rookie deal, but because they don't really have a run game. But they have a very good wide receiver, Malik Neighbors, and they've got an elite level, at least front four on this defense. So maybe if they're able to just play the possession game, if they can get something out of their running backs, maybe this New York Giants team can shock some people, win some games, and find their way into the playoffs at the end of the season. I'm not holding my breath on that, but they are a candidate to be a dark horse surprise team come the end of the season.
Yeah, it's not far-fetched. I know people probably out there like, what? Every year somebody goes from last to first.
And it's never – Commanders did it last year. If it was September 3rd, 2024, and I was on this show saying, man, I think the Commanders are going to make the NFC Championship game, you would have called me crazy.
I think –
probably would have fired me.
I think in recent years, though, the examples that come to mind, the Commanders and the Texans were rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting to see if Russell Wilson could rejuvenate the Giants, or if it's one of those things where they're kind of in the thick of things and then they make the QB switch over to Jackson Dart, which could be a possibility. But I really think the hope is that they don't have to use Dart at all this year.
Yes.
That Russell Wilson essentially becomes Alex Smith, where he's good enough to get you to the playoffs, maybe not good enough to win the Super Bowl, but it's not bad enough to lose your job.
Yeah.
And then you transition to Jackson Dart, where you've got a more seasoned Malik Neighbors and you got a better offensive line. And we forget about the fact that you just let Saquon Barkley go because you got such a phenomenal defensive front. Like you just hope in a perfect world, if you're Giants fans, that is how it plays out.
Yeah, you could have Saquon and that fantastic defensive front, though.
Yeah, I mean, you could have cut ties with Daniel Jones a while ago and figured something else out.
They signed the combination of Devin Singletary and John Runyon Jr. for the price of Saquon Barkley. Yeah. You cannot look at me in the face and say that is a better investment than just signing
I love Singletary, man.
Sure. I love him as an RB3.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, I was a fan, but just under no circumstances since Saquon's been in the league, in my opinion, has it ever been a question of whether or not he needs to be paid whatever he's asking for, essentially.
And it's funny because the Moneyball theory is we can replace him in the aggregate, right? Like, let's go out there and get guys we can replace in the aggregate.
Special.
But I don't think that was even their approach. Like the Hard Knocks, the offseason Hard Knocks with the Giants, they just lowballed him. They just thought no one would offer him more money. And the Eagles were like,
insane.
Are you an idiot? Of course we're going to offer him more money.
Yeah,
and so, like,
be the exception to the rule.
It wasn't even a Moneyball decision. They weren't like, all right, well, we don't need him. We can get Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary and replace him in the aggregate. No, they just messed up and had egg on their face. And they're like, all right, who do we get now? We got to overpay for Devin Singletary. But Jackson Dart being named QB2, interesting storyline to watch.
Hot take, if Dart, like, let's say, because, Russell's had his issues with injuries in the last couple of years.
He was Mr. Durable, but ever since, if Pittsburgh, he missed the first month of the season last year.
If he goes down, even if it's something minor, like a sprained finger or ankle, not even Wally Pippen. It's just hot hand. We go back to Harbaugh, Kaepernick, and Alex Smith. Hot hand. Like if Dart comes in and he's hot, I mean, like I said, you could tell the system fits his eye. Like there's good chemistry between him and Dayball and the offensive coordinator. Like it's not far fetched, and it makes sense to put him at QB2 because if it wasn't for Russell, he'd be starting.
Yes, 1,000%.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. Another storyline. We'll talk about this one throughout today's show. Actually, in the next segment, Micah's impact on the Packers defense. That is going to be so fun to watch in week 1. Heck, it's going to be fun to watch in week 4 when the Packers get the Cowboys. But that's a storyline that's going to be super fun to see unfold all year. I went on Graybo's Giblets, their podcast, and gave out the Packers as my pick to win the NFC pre-Micah trade. I was feeling it a little bit. I love that pick now. If you had cashed in on that when I gave it out, this time last week, boy, oh boy, does it cash in big way. That's a nice one. I am very intrigued to see how this Commanders offense is going to look this year with Terry, who missed all of training camp. It's probably going to take him some time to get back into the fold. Not only that, like, should have asked the question. Maybe we'll ask our Ortho Virginia doctor next week. Is he at a higher risk for injury because he wasn't working out the same way all of training camp? Like that may play into it too. Do you ease him back into your lineup? And so how will the Commanders offense look in that first month of the season with a Debo added in, potentially a Kendrick Bourne added in as a wide receiver 3 type of guy, and Terry McLaurin reclaiming his spot as wide receiver 1 after missing all of training camp? There are a lot of question marks around the Commanders offense for a team that made it to the NFC Championship last year. You don't want to start slow. You don't want to start 2-2, heck 1-3, because then all of a sudden you have found yourself way behind the 8 ball, having to play catch up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think some of the narratives just being driven by people who just want clicks and I say that because this was a top 5 offense last year. What did they lose?
Well, yeah, but they lost Terry for all of training camp.
Yeah, all of training camp. But his
in,
chemistry with the quarterback is so good. Like, I mean, Terry, what he does with that offense is not like he's got to work on working with any of these other guys. He's occupying space by himself. He's the deep threat, basically. So it's not like he's got to work with Debo and these guys got to figure out how to gel. Like, I think it's a little silly, a little dramatic. Like Terry should be fine. I mean, health-wise, yeah, you always worry about a guy who hasn't been doing the movements that you have in training camp preseason.
That's my worry.
Yes, that's a legitimate worry.
And also, like, there's that, but also the just now there's a year of film out on Jaden Daniels.
That too.
Do you see him take a step back? He could. Your schedule is much harder. Like there are just a lot of underlying factors. Because you're right, this Washington offense last year was fantastic. They were cooking with gas. They were a top 4 team in terms of expected points added on a per play basis. Like I understand what you're saying, but like there's also this part of it where there are questions. Is Terry going to be healthy? Is he going to be good to go? Like there's that. How does Debo slot in? You've got an entirely new running back room after you got rid of Brian Robinson Jr. Does Bill Krosky merit? Does I know Brian Robinson Jr. doesn't inspire joy, but
I'm saying that because he's with the Dodgers.
Yeah, but now like Chris Rodriguez, Bill Krosky, Merritt, can they hold the mantle? Can Austin Eckler get his couple of carries here and there? But like there are some questions around the Commanders' offense, which is important because that defense, we still don't know how good they are. So this offense will likely have to score a good amount of points on a per game basis to be able to win these games early on in the season.
See, all my questions are on the defensive side. Like, I feel like if I broke down offense, they upgraded at O-line. I think Krosky Merritt is an upgraded running back. I think their receiving core got upgrade as well because of now they've got guys that can get yards after the catch consistently. So, and I know what they got at quarterback. Over on the defensive side, though, it's like, do we have an edge rusher? Do we have can we get pressure on the guys passing?
Do we have a cornerback 1 like Marshawn Lattimore? Like how good is he going to be?
Yeah, I mean, Lattimore. Yeah, is Lattimore going to be grabby? Right, the penalties. That's the thing. And then also athletically, did you close the gap athletically? Because that's the issue when you play like Saquon Barkley, Malik Neighbors, because Malik Neighbors tore them up something terrible when he played them. Just the Giants overall just wasn't good. But when you play these upper echelon athletes, you have guys that can keep up, right? because there was a lot of times last year that defense looked slow, and it's not like they got any younger, air quotes, in certain positions. So that's a worry for me. But I don't have a question of the offense or Terry or anything like that. I mean, he's never been hurt before. He's been very durable throughout his career. I feel like questioning whether or not he'll be durable starting this season is just a waste of time. But we'll just have to see.
Can I be a really big zagger when everyone's zigging on Terry McLaurin?
I mean, that's fine. You also have the who'd you bump up? Was it not the Raiders? Was it the Chargers?
The Chargers.
Yeah, you faded Patrick Mahomes. You can say whatever you want to say, man.
All right, well then here we go. Terry last year just was a complete outlier in terms of touchdown catches with 13. And I know that's year one with Jaden, so maybe he's that's just his guy. But like his prior 2 years, he had combined for 9 touchdowns, and then he bursts out for 13 last year. He barely got over 1,000 yards. He had his lowest number of targets since his rookie year when he had 93 his rookie year back in 2019. He had 117 targets last year. He did have his highest number of receptions since the 2020 season when he had 87. He had 82 last year. But will that like catch rate maintain? There are some underlying metrics when it comes to Terry McLaurin on if last year he just cashed in on an outlier season and he'll regress to the mean a little bit, or if this is what we can expect out of him now that he has Jaden Daniels. Because there's a lot of extenuating circumstances. There wasn't necessarily a constant there between 2019 to 2024. In fact, it was the opposite of constant with who was throwing him the football. So there are things you can point back and forth when it comes to Terry, but a lot of his underlying numbers suggest that there could be a regression to the mean this season.
Was Ertz the second in targets?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, honestly, that makes sense given the makeup of the team, and I mean, they just didn't have anybody else for real. It was your first read, your tight end for safety, or use your legs, Jaden.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Like Terry McLaurin, I do think is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but he was 19th in the league in receptions, 15th in yards, and 82nd in yards per catch. So
yeah, he's not a big yak guy either.
But he was second in the NFL in touchdowns. So
pays the bills, baby.
I'm just saying the touchdowns do pay the bills. They get you that money, but. I understood why the Commanders were hesitant to give him a big money contract. Some of those underlying metrics, something I'm going to watch out for in this first month of the season. How does Terry perform with those underlying metrics and with missing all of training camp, the soft tissue type of stuff that could potentially impact him with his availability. All right, let's get a break in here. On the other side, news or snooze, a lot of movement in the AP top 25. That's what you expect after the preseason top 25. Ohio State, the new number 1. Is that newsworthy or snoozeworthy? We'll answer that on the other side.
Soccer in RVA is winding down with just a few games left this season. Make your plans now to catch the next Richmond Kickers home game Wednesday, September 17th versus Portland Hearts of Pipe. Tune in to hear ESPN Richmond live as we count down to this nationally televised game on RVA Community Night at City Stadium. Then it's on to a Saturday night showdown September 20th versus Charlotte Independence. Reserve your tickets today at richmondkickers.com. And don't forget, at Kickers games, dogs are always welcome.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's all to 321-321.
Are you suffering from a sports injury? chronic pain, or something that just plain hurts, Ortho Virginia can help get you on the road to recovery. As the state's largest provider of orthopedic care, Ortho Virginia's team of specialists offers surgical and non-surgical treatment options. With 12 offices conveniently located in the Richmond area, visit orthovirginia.com or call 804-915-1910 to discover why at Ortho Virginia, stronger starts here.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Weather reports on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, brought to you by Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, a premier Lennox dealer. Online at hermanallenplumbing.com.
106.1 ESPN weather.
It's currently 58 degrees and cloudy with a high today of 81 and a low of 56. We're expecting the sun to pop back out around 10 a.m. with partly cloudy skies throughout the rest of the morning and clear skies into the afternoon. Almost no wind with gusts only up to 2 miles per hour. And taking a look at tomorrow, temperatures will be rising throughout the rest of the week with a high tomorrow of 85 and a low of 62.
Every Tuesday, go inside Commanders Country with insider Lake Lewis on Fitz The Bill. Injury updates, depth chart, drama, practice buzz straight from Ashburn. It's the Raisin Hill Insider every Tuesday, airing on 106.1 ESPN Richmond and streaming live on X and YouTube. Powered by 106.1 ESPN Richmond, where Richmond talks sports.
News or snooze?
News or snooze? Up first, Ohio State #1 in the latest AP Top 25.
Snoozeworthy. I'm glad they're in their rightful place now. Like, Texas shouldn't have been the preseason #1.
I disagree. They should have.
No, they shouldn't have.
Yeah, they were returning.
I didn't know you were an Arch Manning apologist.
I'm not an Arch Manning apologist, but looking at their, the collection of the recruiting classes, the transfers, and all that jazz, it made sense to have them as #1.
Look, preseason rankings they're stupid in general. You can't get a good read on preseason rankings.
But you're arguing about it.
Yeah. And I'm a talk radio. Of course I'm talking about it. Here's the thing, though. Ohio State won the national championship on principle. I'm in the mind that national champions should be ranked #1 in the preseason poll the next year, regardless of what happens.
How many kids came back from that national championship team? Because they lost like 6.
Yeah, they lost a lot, but Caleb Downs returned.
Yeah, I was going to say Caleb Downs by himself is probably enough for me to get my vote personally.
That's what I'm saying. And they brought in, who knew Matt Patricia would be a better defensive mind at the college level than Bill Belichick? Shocking news. Absolutely shocking. But snoozeworthy because Ohio State, makes sense that they're #1.
Bill's got no talent.
I don't know who would have been #1 if it wasn't for Ohio State.
If off the top of my head, Penn State.
Who'd they beat?
Who did Penn State beat?
Yeah.
This past weekend? Yeah.
Exactly.
Like they play cupcakes until they play Oregon.
And then they lose and they wonder why they lost.
But I'm just saying, if we're coming into the season, Penn State had a lot of love from a lot of people.
They did for no reason.
Yeah. It is weird, but that was the team off the top of my head that would have been #1.
Got to ask a really quick question.
Yeah.
Why does Oregon still get a first place vote? Who is out there voting Oregon first place?
Do you not see the gear, man? Phil Knight's lining pockets. If he hooks me up with Nike gear, I'll vote for him too.
It's so funny because they had one first place vote in the preseason. I was like, that's out of place. Now they're ranked 6th. They went up a spot and they still have a first place vote. And you're like, that's out of place. Weird.
I got to fire back too on behalf of Espo. You didn't put Brian Kelly's little spicy response to Dabo in here?
You know why I didn't?
Why?
It's got a whole segment in hour #2.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind.
It's got a whole segment.
Let me stay in my place. #2.
That involves more than just a quick hitting newsworthy or snoozer. The fact Dabo Sweeney and Brian Kelly.
The math ain't mathed.
Gosh, that was so funny. That is newsworthy, and that's why it's a whole segment. That's super newsworthy because Dabo Sweeney, stay in your lane, man. Stay.
I'm not a fan.
When there's one finger pointing out, there's what, 4 fingers pointing back at you?
I'm gonna save it for the second.
Okay. All right. It's coming up at 9:15.
Number 2,
so keep it locked.
Florida football back for the first time since the 2006 preseason. Miami, Florida, and Florida State are all ranked in the AP top 15 at the same time.
I think that's newsworthy. Congratulations to your Seminoles from going from unranked to 14th and knocking Alabama from 8th to 21st. Yeah. And in the process, Miami and Florida are also in the top 15. That's pretty impressive. Florida football back after years, nearly 20 years, 2 decades of kind of having one strong team, and it never was all 3 of them at the same time. They kind of rotated who the best team was. Finally, for the time being, seems like they're finding their footing again.
Can I complain about something real quick?
Oh, you know me. I love complaining. Go ahead.
There's no way a team should go from unranked
to 14th,
beating. I get Alabama's
the 21st ranked team.
Yeah, I mean, I get Alabama was number 10. I actually had this conversation with Scott from sales yesterday. This, like, Castellano was right. This isn't Nick Saban's Alabama, which is fine. It's a great win. I'm not taking away from the fact it's a great win. It's a quality opponent. However, this isn't Derrick Henry and them's Alabama. I don't think the committee or whoever did the voting in the first place should give them that much respect. I thought number 10 was a bit of a stretch, but for Florida State to jump up to 14th is kind of crazy to me, man. Like, they were not that good.
It tells me that the voters in this were afraid of being wrong on FSU. Like, coming into the season, people had them like, they're a top 25 team, but they're coming off a 2-10 season. I can't put them in the top 25 preseason. Like, that'd be insane. So then they win their first game and everyone's like, I'll put them at 14th now. Like, to me, it's like an overcorrection where they coming into the season, it was a top 25 team, but we were all afraid of last season and we didn't want to look wrong as AP voters. And now that they proved us right while also proving us wrong, then we're going to put them at 14th. I think that's the mindset of the AP voters.
AP's silly. But,
I mean, it's just a popularity contest. I'll complain about something here. AP top 25, the voting system is so out of whack because the voting system is all beat writers who, you know what beat writers are doing on game days, right? Watching only their team.
Yeah.
And then you're expected to have your ballot in like Saturday night, first thing Sunday. And you know what the beat writers are doing Saturday night, Sunday morning? Writing stories on their team. They're not watching every single game across the country. So there's a lot of box score watching, and there's a lot of, they blew them out by a lot. Oh, they played a big game. Oh, Florida State beat Alabama. Okay, then they're up there. Like, that's the issue with the AP top 25. It's beat writers who are overworked, underpaid, expected to have this turned around in 2 hours after the final game finishes, and that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is, as you were implying, I've never met an unbiased beat writer. So
look, it just happens from like just being around the team. You create the relationships, and it's the good thing about beat writers because you get access that I think a lot of other people wouldn't. But then it's also the downside of being a beat writer. So, what's the next one?
All right, the last one we've got today, Micah Parsons' agent on the Micah Parsons trade. I'm not sure how this turned out the way that it did. That's what we've got.
What a quote from him. It's newsworthy. And you just got to hear David Mulugeta, the agent for Micah Parsons, when he joined First Take yesterday, talking about how Micah wanted to stay with the Cowboys.
I think the most important thing is that Micah wanted to be a Cowboy, right? You know, he grew up cheering for the Cowboys, wore the blue and white at Penn State, wore it in the NFL with the Dallas Cowboys. He wanted to be a Cowboy. And we did everything we could for him to remain a Cowboy. We reached out, and like you said, I don't really do these interviews. We try to keep the negotiations out of the media. But in this case, so much information has been put out there that we wanted to just address a couple of things. But as far as Michael is concerned, he wanted to be a Cowboy. We did everything we could. And sometimes you got to be a little careful with what you read in the media as far as what was offered to Micah, the guarantees that were offered, the APY that was offered. There's so much that goes into an NFL contract. If you look at many of these contracts that the Cowboys have done over the past few years and the recent ones, the guarantees don't stretch much further than the first new year. If you look at Micah's current deal, he has guarantees into 4 years from now. So again, there are certain things that have been put out in the media to make it look as though Micah turned down a fair or a great deal, but that's simply not the case.
Interesting. Man, Jerry really fumbled the bag on this one. Everything tells me that Micah wanted to stay a Cowboy. According to David Mulugheta, his agent, he would have played week 1 if there was no new deal reached. He loved being a Cowboy. He wanted to play there. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid here when it comes to what his agent's putting out, but it feels like Jerry Jones just messed this up in an epic way where he just every day goes by, and I am more and more convinced that this was an ego-driven decision from Jerry Jones. He felt like he was slighted by Micah Parsons and David Mulugheta. He felt like they disrespected him, so he got pennies on the dollar for the greatest edge rusher available on the market of the last decade. He's entering his prime at 26 years old. He's still one of probably a top 3 edge rusher in the NFL, but if you combine in his value in terms of his age, he is the most valuable edge rusher that's been available in a long time. The Packers were smart enough to go out there and get him and trade for him, and they only had to give up 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. Sure, whatever. But, man, Jerry Jones, you messed this up royally, my guy. Completely newsworthy that Mulugheta, who never does interviews, did an interview and is essentially saying, we tried to make this work for Dallas. They're putting out fake news into the media, and I don't think they're wrong. I think Jerry Jones is trying to paint this in a picture that makes him look like the sad guy, makes him look a little bit more what's the right word? I don't know exactly what the right word is.
It's tried and true from the Jerry Jones
playbook. You lose a negotiation, and now you try to make it seem like we did everything we could. He didn't want to be with us.
The Cowboys are always the victim, and the players are always greedy.
Yep.
Again, dating back to Emmitt Smith and pretty much every other star along the way, he's had to pay.
Dak Prescott.
Yeah, Dak was so greedy, man. He was so greedy that he franchise tagged himself twice and got that contract. Man. Dez was so greedy. Zeke was so greedy. Yeah. And now it's we tried to work with Micah. I guess he didn't want to be a Cowboy. Right.
Yeah. Except now your agent's coming out and literally saying, no, he wanted to be a Cowboy, and quote, I'm not sure how this turned out the way it did.
Remember I said that? I was like, this was the most layup of layups for a contract signing.
You know what you do? Micah, what do you want? 50 million a year? What about 44? You're the highest paid edge rusher, and we'll guarantee your deal partially every single year of the extension. Boom. I just brokered the deal. Give me 10%.
I know there was reports of him wanting a 5th year and this and that. At 26, that doesn't even make sense, right? Because you're going to get paid again because you're so young.
If
so
I'm Micah,
you want 4 years, you get your 3, and then you want to restructure on the 4th year because that's pretty much how everybody does business now.
If I'm Micah, yeah, exactly. I'm 26. I have the last year of my contract to play out this year. So I'd want a 3-year extension that puts me with the Cowboys through 2029, and then we can rework it in my 2029 season. When I'm my 29-year-old season.
Yeah, when you're 29. So
29, 30, and you will have one last payday. Myles Garrett's 31, and he just signed a $40 million deal. TJ Watt, same age. Max Crosby, same age. You have some longevity at this position as long as you take care of your body. Micah has had a couple of injuries here and there, but so has Myles Garrett. As long as you take care of your body for the most part, you'll be good at 30 to then get another deal. The Cowboys fumbled this in every single way possible, and now they're fumbling the way that they're handling it in the media. You are just getting blown apart, blown to
smithereens.
Yeah, smithereens, and I almost said slimmerines. Just come on, man. Newsworthy because it makes Jerry Jones look bad.
Also, did I hit the sounder for that? I feel like I missed it, but I'm going to do it again.
We'll do it again. Because that's necessary.
Yeah.
That's necessary. His impact on the Packers is going to be monumental because there were some questions on this Packers defense. Their offense, I think Matthew Golden was going to emerge to be their wide receiver 1, and then they've got 15 million wide receiver 2s. I really like Josh Jacobs as their running back.
Just a friendly reminder, Matt LaFleur said they didn't need a wide receiver one.
Yeah, well, he's lying because Josh Jacobs said they did.
The best part of that is people were parroting it. And then his running back came out and was like, yeah, we actually do need a wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think he was just trying to make them all feel good. And then when they said, oh, we could go get a wide receiver one in the first round, let's do it. And
big fan of Golden. You remember I had him as a first round grade. So I hope he's successful.
Golden's very good. But I mean, Matt LaFleur's one of the top 3 coaches in the NFL right now. Is that crazy to say?
I would say top 5 and put him between 4 and 5.
Okay, so yeah, we did our coaches rankings. Or I need to go back and see what my coaches rankings.
He's got to finish, but I think he's
if he gets a Super Bowl, he gets into the top 3 conversation.
But yeah, you look at his record as a head coach at the Packers. I mean, the only thing missing is that postseason success.
Yeah, and I mean, he got it to the NFC Championship and nearly took down the 49ers that one year.
I don't recall.
Then Brock Purdy went on an epic fourth quarter comeback.
I don't recall. We do to the Packers nowadays what they did to us in the 90s and the Cowboys.
And the Packers do what you guys. The Packers are to the Cowboys what you are to the Packers. You following?
Pretty much.
It's insane that the Cowboys traded Micah to Dallas and the
Micah
Packers
to the Packers.
Oh, yeah. Yes. See, that's how insane it is. It's insane that the Dallas traded Micah to Green Bay. And Green Bay was the last team to beat Dallas in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you follow that logic? I didn't even follow that logic.
And they're on your schedules
in week 4.
People don't typically do that.
If I'm trading Micah Parsons, I'm not giving him to an NFC team.
I mean, if I was trading Micah Parsons, I'm not giving him up for a D tackle in 2 first rounds. Either.
If I'm trading Micah Parsons, I'm not trading Micah Parsons. Like we could just full stop right there.
And I agree, or I'm tempted to believe him too. Like he was gonna play. Like none of that made sense. Like just the idea that he wouldn't play and that he wanted out of Dallas. Like no, you led him to be at that spot where he wanted out of Dallas. He didn't
even want to be out of Dallas. Like even up until the end, he wanted to stay there.
If you go back and listen to things he said during the offseason, there was no indication that he was going to make this difficult.
No, and every indication was maybe Brian Schottenheimer was right, that Schottenheimer was resolute. He'd be playing week 1 as long as he was on the roster, and Mulugeta kind of confirmed that.
Then his owner called him a spoiled child.
And then it all went to the
that'll do it.
All right, you want $50,000 in cold hard cash? Bull Rush just dropped a new sports comp, the NFL Survivor. Total prize pool, $100,000. First place gets $50,000 straight up. Think you got the picks to survive 20 weeks? Join now and prove it at bullrush.com. And coming up to start hour 2, our brand new Talk of the Town segment. It's brought to you by Dave & Buster's in Short Pump and Ortho, Virginia. Week 1, our Talk of the Town, it's Darius Gray. He committed to South Carolina over the offseason. He started off 2025 with 2 sacks and a rushing touchdown. We catch up with him. We catch up with his head coach and get caught up with what's going on with St. Christopher's. That's coming up to start hour number 2. Stay with us.
This has been Ingram with the Atlanta Braves. Keep it locked here on 106.1 ESPN. Your home for the Atlanta Braves all season long.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's all to 321-321.
At East Coast Appliance, our Labor Day customer appreciation sale is still going strong with huge savings on new and scratch-and-dent appliances. Save up to 50% off new appliances store-wide. Special offers on dishwashers and laundry pairs and limited time 0% financing you won't want to miss. All with same day or next day delivery and install available. The Labor Day customer appreciation sale at East Coast Appliance. The best price or it's free.
Ugh, I'm getting so sick of going to the laundromat. Didn't you just get a new washer and dryer? Yeah, but it still hasn't arrived. Where'd you get it? One of those big hardware stores. And every time I call, I get the garden department, lumber department, or something like that. Next time, let me know. I have this appliance guy who does same day or next day delivery and install. I'm going to call and cancel my order. Great idea.
You should never have to wait weeks or even days for a new appliance. Shop East Coast Appliance today and get the best price, or it's free.
From the ESPN studio, presented by Ortho Virginia. Find one of Ortho Virginia's orthopedic locations at orthovirginia.com. W291CL Lakeside Richmond. WURV HD2 Richmond. We are 1061 ESPN.
You're listening to the second hour of Fitz the Bill on 1061 ESPN.
Welcome back in. Hour number 2 of Fitz the Bill. Appreciate you clocking in, getting your day started with us right here on 1061 ESPN Richmond, September 3rd, midweek edition of Fitz the Bill. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick alongside Alan as we have a fantastic hour number 2 set. First ever Talk of the Town is coming up. Before we get to that, we want to let you guys know that Talk of the Town on Fitz the Bill is brought to you by Dave & Buster's in Short Pump. Grab some food, crush a few arcade games, and maybe brag about your big win. We are where Richmond talks sports. Dave & Buster's in Short Pump are where Richmond comes to play. Dave & Buster's in Short Pump, located at 4001 Brownstone Boulevard, Suite 101. Talk of the Town is also brought to you by Ortho Virginia. Ortho Virginia, you can check them out. We had a fantastic interview with Dr. Dumont to start hour number 1, and excited to have them also be our studio sponsor for the next couple of months as well. So appreciate all of that. It's time for our first ever Talk of the Town.
From local legends to rising stars, these are the people and stories that are the talk of the town.
Brand new weekly series, just kind of an overview on it. We're going to highlight student athletes, teams, coaches that are coming off great performances and look ahead to what is coming up for that team, along with Talk of the Town. You can follow along Fitz the Bill ESPN RVA on Instagram to get the latest high school football news, post-game interviews from our Talk of the Town game of the week. Last week, it was Hopewell at Highland Springs, and you can catch our interview with head coach Lauren Johnson and senior running back Eric Bird over on Fitz the Bill ESPN RVA on Instagram. So we've got that coming every Friday, and every Wednesday we'll have this. It's designed to shine a spotlight on the kids, teams, coaches making an impact on and off the field. For our first ever Talk of the Town segment, it's Darius Gray from St. Christopher. If you ever want to nominate someone to be our Talk of the Town, you can text us 804-327-0888, or you can DM us on Fitz the Bill ESPN RVA to nominate who you want to see as Talk of the Town and explain why you want to see them as our Talk of the Town focus. Darius Gray is our first one. He's a senior at St. Chris, and he's been a standout for him for a number of seasons. So much so, he was the number 1 player in the state of Virginia in the class of 2026 and was the number 1 interior offensive lineman in the country, according to 247 Sports. Recently committed to play his college ball down there in Columbia, South Carolina, as a Gamecock. He stepped out on the field against Huguenot on Friday and balled out, finished with 2 of St. Chris's 5 sacks. He blocked for a touchdown run, also ran for a touchdown of his own as the 804 zone Refrigerator Perry. We caught up with Darius after practice yesterday, chatted about his team's 21-6 win over Huguenot, his process to committing to South Carolina, and the outlook for the rest of the season for St. Chris. We also caught up with his head coach to learn more about the impact Darius has had on the team. This was Darius Gray yesterday after practice. We're here with Darius Gray, commit for South Carolina and standout offensive lineman, defensive lineman, doing a little running back in your game now. Darius Gray from St. Chris joining us. Darius, thank you so much for taking some time.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to start off here. Are we going to see a wide receiver at all this season? You had a rushing touchdown in the opening 21-6 win over Huguenot. Walk me through how often you get into running back sets in practice and if that's something we can expect moving forward.
Yeah, we just started that this year. He's been telling me for, the few years I've been here that I was going to get the ball, and it never came. But he started practicing this past week against Huguenot, and once the game time come, I heard my name get called, and I knew what time it was. So,
are you familiar with Refrigerator Perry?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yep.
Is that a little inspiration for you going when you lined up in the backfield? You're like, I've watched this a time or two on the old school highlights.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. That was the first thing that went through my mind.
So let's talk about the game itself, a 21-6 performance. I think you had 2 sacks in it on the defensive side, but we know you're commit for the offensive side for South Carolina. What was it that gave you guys so much success in the trenches? Because you also rushed for a touchdown and seemed to really handle your business against Huguenot in that opening week win.
Yeah, I think it really started in the summer. A bunch of the D-line guys came out, and we just got to work. So that's kind of what it started from. And, over the game and over the course, we knew what the mindset was the whole time, that in order for us to win this game, we have to win up front. So it was a combined effort, and we done a great job up front, but we got to do a lot of things to get better at.
What was the game plan going into the game for you guys in the trenches?
Yeah, the game plan was just dominate. On offensive side, just move them off the line of scrimmage. On defensive side, move them backwards. And that was the 2 goals, and then just go make some plays.
So on the offensive side, you guys seem to control the game for the most part. I mean, it's a gritty 21-6 win. How did you guys find success against Huguenot's defensive line, which coming into the season, that Huguenot team still expected to be a pretty darn good football team? How'd you find that success?
Yeah, I think it took all 5 of us, all 6, including the tight ends. We just had to communicate, talk together, and, all be on the same page. And it was very big for us to just be able to, physically move them, and that was the main goal. So.
And then your defense gets a pick 6. They put you get on the board with the defensive side of the football. You get 2 sacks. How did you find success as a defense, and then personally to get to the quarterback twice? You get 5 sacks total as a defense. How important is that for success for your team?
Yeah, so as a defense, we got an old group. Pretty much everybody who is on that starting defense now was here last year. And so we knew what, time it was, and we knew we had to communicate more to be a better defense and just execute the calls. So that's kind of where our success came from on the defensive end, and just communicating during practice and treating every practice like a game. And for myself, really just my other guys on the D-line really helped me. Whenever they started getting sacks and doing what they had to do, it kind of freed me up a little bit, or the linebackers coming down faster, it freed me up. So when things like that happen, I can make my plays, but, it's all a team effort.
So Darius committed to South Carolina. How was it watching the Gamecocks beat Virginia Tech this opening weekend?
Oh, it's so much different. So I was never really like a huge fan of college ball. I'm a diehard Saints fan, but now it's kind of like I'm a diehard Gamecock fan. So I felt that little nerve before the game and when plays happen. So I knew I was really locked in, and, it was big. They definitely all know what they got to do to get better. And that was kind of their mindset. Like, there was a lot to get better at, but, they pulled out a tough win, and it was a big win for South Carolina, and moving on to next week.
So on your recruiting journey, how important was it to kind of get it out of the way, not get it out of the way, but have that decision made before the season started? How important was it to you to not kind of bring that into your final season here at St. Chris?
Yeah, I think it was pretty big for me and my family. The first goal was definitely to wait after the season, just to see how the season go for schools. But, once the time really came, it was just like get it over with before the season, just due to, getting my focus back to the team and just being strictly focused on my team and, my future team as well. So like I said, I was able to, win our game. And then, we have a South Carolina game that I get to watch. So it's much better that way than still trying to decide.
So how involved was Shane Beamer in your recruiting? Because he seems to be pretty focused on the 804, and you're kind of one of the big names of the 804 in this recruiting class. How involved was he compared to maybe your offensive line coach that may have recruited you too?
Yeah, I think he was very involved. Sometimes you kind of forgot he was the head coach. That's how involved he was. But he done a great job of recruiting me and my family, and, Coach Teasley and Coach Schuler done a great job as well. But, Coach Beamer was really the main standout, because not many schools did that.
And Darius, now looking ahead back to St. Chris with what you guys have coming up for the rest of the season. Episcopal on Saturday, 2 away games to start the season, kind of an interesting schedule to start. What do you guys need to do in order to reach your ultimate goal of, I imagine, championships here at St. Chris?
Yeah, there's multiple things. Like, we never won a state championship here, so the goal in the locker room right now is to get one. And, we had a big win last week, after being, kind of underdog, but now we know, like, we can't let that get to us. It's a new week. We got to prove ourselves again. We got to prove ourselves again in practice. Every day we get this opportunity. So we just got to go do what we got to do and, take this win this weekend.
Do you feel, this just popped into my head, do you feel ever like the 804 sometimes I feel like gets disrespected a little bit. The 757 gets all the love. 703 up north in Northern Virginia, they got some big names up there too. But 804 feels like it sometimes gets overlooked. Do you feel like almost a sense of responsibility now? 247 had you as the number one player in Virginia, number one interior offensive lineman in the country, and you're coming out of Richmond. Then you look across the 804, right? You've got other guys going to UVA, West Virginia. Like it's starting to pick up a little bit. But do you kind of feel a sense of responsibility to go out, ball, and not only represent St. Chris, but Richmond, 804, the whole area, everything like that? Do you feel that responsibility?
I wouldn't say much, honestly. Like 804 ball is 804 ball, and we got great athletes here, and so it's very competitive. But like as a unit, we all know like we could do a lot of good things, and we have a good squad if we just all combine together. But a lot of guys know like it's all on all of us. We got to start winning games. The 804 Publics got to start beating the 75 Publics, and the 804 has just got to really dominate. So it feels a little bit responsibility, but it definitely takes a unit, and I know that. So.
How big is it for you guys to go start your season with a win against Huguenot? I mean, that's a team, Richmond City. They've grown in a big way under their head coach, Charles Scott. And then you guys go out there and you handle the trenches, probably a place that a lot of people weren't expecting St. Chris to dominate. And you get 5 sacks, you rush for a touchdown. You have so much success. What does it say about St. Chris and then the message it sends to the rest of the city?
Yeah, I mean, kind of when you're head coach to offensive line, that's kind of what you got to expect, right? So we've done a great job, and what we send to the rest of the city is like, we got a lot of work to do, but we're definitely coming, and we're not the same St. Chris that we were the previous years, and we just got to stay focused.
Darius, I think that's a perfect way to finish it. Appreciate your time. Good luck this rest of the season.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
We're here with head coach Lance Cleland of St. Christopher's, coming off of a massive 21-6 win against Huguenot. Coach, kind of just walk us through the game plan going into it, how you thought your team executed, because a 21-6 win to start the season always feels good, especially against a Huguenot team that's expected to be tops in Richmond City.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, as we looked at them, obviously you have to respect their ability and the skills with Markel Dabney and just a host of guys who can hit home runs. And so, we were very conscious of him and some of their skill guys, and knew their strength was probably passing the ball. And our strength, however, was inside and our line, both offensive and defensive line. And I think that showed. And we've always been able to put a lot of pressure. We have a very attacking defense. And, but it's always tricky week one, because have teams changed schemes? Have they added new players? And so, it's definitely a somewhat of a mixed bag. But you just got to rely on great effort. You got to rely on great defense, not beating yourself. And that was probably what I was most proud about of our boys is, we didn't turn the ball over. We did get pressure on the quarterback, and we executed in the special teams.
You mentioned pressure on the quarterback, 5 total sacks. 2 of them came from our talk of the town student athlete in Darius Gray. 2 sacks. Oh, by the way, also helped be on the offensive line and helped push in a running touchdown. And then, oh, by the way, also rushed for a touchdown of his own. Can you kind of go over Darius's overall performance in that week 1 game, both offensively, defensively, and in the backfield?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been around high school linemen who other teams have to game plan for as much as him. And the rare thing for Darius is his hard work, his natural, ability, but also his hard work have put him in a situation where people don't know this, but he could have gone and played defensive line at Georgia. And that's never said about an offensive lineman. That's very rare. It's defensive lineman to offensive lineman at the college, arena. So Darius is very gifted, and he draws lots of double teams. They don't always work. And when we can get him one-on-one, we know he's going to get pressure on the quarterback. And he's had, I think it was his freshman year. He was playing up on the varsity, started every game on the offensive line. And, just being a cautious coach and waited until maybe 6 games in before I just looked at a coach and said, he has to play both ways. And from then on, he's led us and he's been an impact player. But he played great on Friday night, as we expected him to. Didn't play perfect, and he loves to be coached. That's the other great thing about Darius. He's very coachable, has a very a great spirit about it. He leads by example. And so, he knows he needs fix some things. And but that's always after week 1. You got a lot of things to fix. So we're happy to do that for a win.
So with Darius, how nice is it to have a player like that is a defensive lineman standout, an offensive lineman Well, let me rewind actually here. What was the game plan putting him in the backfield and making the 804 zone refrigerator Perry back there?
Well, I mean, first of all, if you saw Darius, he has decided to only eat. He's only eating protein right now, so he's cut out all of his carbs, and he almost has a 6-pack. He can dunk, you know what I mean. So he's 275 pounds, fit and trim, and in great shape. Why not? He's not slow, and he's the best player on the field right now. For this year and previous years, and just let's have some fun with it. And he can handle it mentally, and I mean, when you get inside the 5-yard line, he's a pretty big, powerful kid to stop. And we got good blockers in front of him, and they moved it just enough, and then he finished it off. But yeah, I mean, and then we can do some things off of it that'll be fun to do. But Darius is a lot of fun to coach. It's cliche, but he's even a better young man than he is a player, which is super high praise because he's a tremendous player, but he has a very high character. And anytime, to answer your question, anytime you get your hardest worker is also your best player, good things are going to happen, and great leadership and tone is set for your team.
I want to rewind a little bit because Darius commits to South Carolina a couple weeks ago now. What was your role and involvement in the recruiting process for Darius with South Carolina? And I mean, a ton of other Power 4 programs. What was kind of your role and kind of seeing it develop from the head coach role?
So I've been doing this a long time. Been a head coach, going on, almost 20 years now. And, have a lot of players that I've coached be successful at a high level. And middle level and Division III guys all over the place, right? But so it's always interesting to see how that high level guy that evolves. And Darius's recruitment certainly started very early. He was, right on this post-COVID wave of early offers and early attention. So South Carolina, I believe, was the first to offer him, I think, going into his freshman year, if I'm accurate on that timeline. So they've known about him for a long time. He's been on their radar a long time. He's fallen in love with the school. But, he had, some other great options. They all were great options, as I told him. He had to go to the place where he felt the most comfortable. But I just have a ton of appreciation for him of how he handled it. His family handled it well. Obviously, there's a money side to things now, and NIL and all these other things, agents. I mean, I'm 46 years old. My last college football season was 2001. And if you said the word agent, you were probably getting suspended. So, that just shows you how far we've come in those 25 years of where high school recruiting is. And, but Darius handled it beautifully. His family did. My end was just more, he got the attention. I mean, it wasn't like I was searching out teams where I'm like more like, do you want to go play in Texas? Okay, well, we haven't heard from Texas. You know what I mean? Do they think that you'll go that far out? You know what I mean? And obviously the answer eventually was no. But that was more, the managing the part. Obviously, it's a lot of fun when we had a basketball game last winter. We had, Coach Franklin from Penn State. We had Coach Sweeney from Clemson. We had, Coach Elliott from UVA. I'm sure I'm leaving guys out, but we had a host of head coaches here. Coach Heupel was Tennessee was here that game. And even Coach Sweeney looked around and said, I don't think I've ever seen this many head coaches at a high school basketball game. And Darius is running point. And, he's a guard, tackle, or center, whatever he wants to play on the O-line, whatever they want to put him at. And so, it just shows how special he's been blessed with his physical talent, but he puts the hard work in. You've never seen a kid work as hard as him. He lifts at weird times because he wants to get his lifts in. You know what I mean? He's always fit. And he's an unbelievable two-sport star. So, and like I said, he's a better kid. He's a better young man. So his mom and dad, Angelina and DeCarlo, have done an unbelievable job raising him, and we're just blessed to be around him.
So a guard both on the football field and a guard on the basketball court. That's an impressive two-sport athlete kind of resume he has going for him. Yeah. I want to look ahead to the season now for you guys. Saturday, you're at Episcopal, a big game up there trying to keep the momentum going off of the Huguenot win. How do you make sure that the team gets refocused after that opening week win, gets the steps forward that you want to see out of them, and can go on the road against the team on Saturday to kind of keep that momentum going?
Yeah, it's a great question. That's the challenge, right? I mean, as the head coach, you got to try to bring your team down, but not too far down. You want confidence built, you know what I mean? You want them to, execute, and you want them to play well and hard. And I think it's just focusing on those things. It's like we just said, it's very helpful to be led by such a hard worker. And as an offensive lineman at heart, Darius knows, and he'll never probably play a perfect game. Not every step is perfect. Not every punch is perfect. So, you start there, you correct the mistakes that we made, which we made a ton. And you try to, just improve. And I think, it's very cliche again, but you make the most improvement between week 1 and week 2. This opponent we have coming up is one that's traditionally one of our longest running games schools. It's a like-minded school. It's another Episcopal school. They're very talented. They have a quarterback committed to VMI. They have a lineman committed to Utah State. They have a junior who has several Power 4 offers. So, you all might not see them every year down in the 804, this area, but certainly up in Northern Virginia and the DC area, they play in a hyper-competitive private school conference, and it's a large boarding school. So we have our work cut out for us. Plus, we got to get on the bus for 2 hours. And we're more like a Division III football team with that schedule. And, to get on the road for 2 hours and travel up there is commonplace for us. But it's something that our boys are very mentally tough. That's the challenge for them. They work hard in school, work hard in the football field. And we expect that to happen on Saturday morning, right afternoon.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. Good luck the rest of the season. And hopefully you go up there and get a win.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate you.
So fantastic talk of the town. It was a great performance to start the season for St. Christopher, a 21-6 win over Huguenot, but then also a great offseason for Darius Gray, committing to South Carolina as the number 1 player in the state of Virginia, according to 247 Sports, and the number 1 interior offensive lineman as well. Talk of the town brought to you by Dave & Buster's in Short Pump. Grab some food, crush a few arcade games, and maybe brag about your big win. We are where Richmond talks sports. They are where Richmond comes to play. Dave & Buster's in Short Pump, located at 4001 Brownstone Boulevard, Suite 101. Also brought to you by Ortho Virginia. Stronger starts here. So appreciate them being our sponsors of the Talk of the Town segment. If you want to nominate someone to be the Talk of the Town spotlight for next Wednesday or any following Wednesday, let us know. We're happy to hear about it. Look, we can't see and know every single thing that's happening across the high school football landscape here in the 804. As I have said, there are a whole lot of high school programs. There's only really one of me, so there's only so much I can know. So any help, if you want to nominate someone for it, we greatly appreciate that, and we will take it into consideration. Just text us at 804-327-0888. You can also DM us on Fitz The Bill, ESPN, RVA as well. We greatly appreciate that. So thank you so much. We're going to get a break in here. Step aside. Be back with some more Fitz The Bill, as we've got a lot to dive into. LSU, Clemson, well, they're in a war of words after their game on Saturday. Stay with us to hear more about that.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text all to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the number 1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's all to 321-321.
Your trash is treasure at CNC Colored Recycling. From copper wire to radiator ends, cans to lead batteries, CNC Colored Recycling will pay cash or check for your unwanted scrap metal. No load is too large or too small. Don't dump it, recycle it, and get paid at CNC Colored Recycling, just south of Maple Street on Route 1 in Ashland. Free local container service is available too. CNC Colored Recycling, open every weekday and a half day on Saturday. Check the latest cash scrap prices online right now at cccolored.com. That's CCCULLED.com.
Horse racing is back, and it's time to get ready for another Triple Crown season. Get the latest from the industry every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 with Off to the Races on 106.1 ESPN, presented by The Racing Biz. Nick Hahn and Frank Vespi bring you their insight and knowledge, talking with the people making the headlines, including jockeys, trainers, and owners. Plus, get the expert picks each week, including a visit by Derby Bill Watson. It's Off to the Races each Saturday morning at 10 on 106.1 ESPN, streaming live on the iHeartRadio app.
Traffic reports on 106.1 ESPN Richmond, brought to you by Herman Allen Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, a premier Linux dealer. Online at hermanallenplumbing.com.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ALL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text ALL to 321-321. That's ALL to 321-321.
It's the second of 3 straight away games for Richmond football, and we're ready to bring it home to you. Hi, this is Bob Black. Join Chris Anderson, Matt Smith, and me this Saturday when the Spiders travel to Wofford. 6 p.m. kickoff. Our coverage starts at 5:30 right here on the home of the Spiders, 106.1 ESPN.
Now, the Devil went down to Georgia. However, this is Clemson and LSU. Neither one involved with Georgia.
Yeah, no, but I was
Devil.
thinking the Devil, Dabo. Yeah, you got to have something in there.
So let me just play this real quick. Right off the top, because we've got a war of words happening. First, you'll hear from Dabo Sweeney, and then you'll hear the jabs taken by Brian Kelly responding to Dabo giving both LSU and Clemson failing grades.
It's a hell of a game. Down to the last play, right out of the gate. It's like getting the final exam day one of class. They made a 65, we made a 58. Neither one of us were great.
We dominated him in the second half. So he's either a really good grader for, giving himself a 58, or he's a really hard grader on us, or he didn't see the second half, which that might be the case. He might not have wanted to see the second half.
Wow. All right, two coaches.
No, man, this is phenomenal. The best part of that entire thing, if anybody hasn't seen it yet, is the face that Dabo's making when he's saying what he's saying. It's a straight face. That's the funny part.
That's the thing, and that's what I want to dive into here, because look, you can insert every single cliche that there is, right? You can insert the cliche that when there's one finger pointing out, there's 4 pointing back at you. Don't cast stones in a glass house, all of that, because Clemson's got to be really careful here. They were extremely disappointing in this game. There was no explosiveness in the Clemson offense. Look, they had a negative 0.23 EPA per play. And now, look, I've realized I've cited EPA a good amount of times. I've kind of explained it, but I've got a little sound I want to play on this side, Alan, for me explaining what EPA is. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Short, this stat measures how well a team performs compared to their expectation on a play-by-play basis. EPA and EPA per play, along with other stats using EPA, can help us evaluate team and player performance. How much does each play run impact the chances for a team to score points? And Clemson, on a per-play basis, was doing things that hurt their chances to score.
Yeah, and this is getting off the beaten path a little bit, but we got to put my guy in the doghouse.
You blew it.
Yes, Dad.
Frank the Beagle saw it.
You blew
Now
it.
you're in Frank's doghouse.
He's got to be. Hold on. Those grades again. Give it to me one more time. We scored a 50. We scored a
Clemson
58.
Yeah. Clemson 58, LSU 65. So LSU got a D a solid D if we're on a 10-point grading scale.
Yeah.
Clemson got an F.
Yeah, that's not how that works, buddy.
Nope. It's actually like really out of touch. Dabo is able to say this because he did say it with the straight face. But
straight face.
It is wild to me that Dabo's first thought after that game wasn't talking about his team only and everything they've got to work on. Cade Klubnik is a Heisman contender. Not anymore because he had such a bad game.
I don't know if he was really a Heisman.
He was in the betting odds. He was top 10 in the betting odds.
Do you remember way back when we were talking about Shedeur Sanders in this last QB class?
Yeah.
And I said, or I questioned, why does everybody think this next class is so much better than the current class? Right?
I remember that.
Who is in this class that's going to be good?
And
we went over the list of quarterbacks,
and you hated all of them.
Every single one of them.
Look,
and out of those quarterbacks, who had a good opening week?
Norris Sellers.
He was the only one
against a stout Tech defense,
and he's my Heisman bet too. 16-1, baby.
You're good.
Yeah,
then you are set. You know who's a fun Heisman candidate?
Who?
You want a real dark horse?
Who?
Isaac Brown, Louisville running back.
Oh my gosh. Save us, JMU.
Look, I'm just saying. Dude averaged 21. He had 6 carries against Eastern Kentucky, albeit Eastern Kentucky.
Yeah.
6 carries, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Well, LSU's quarterback, from some kind of way, is the favorite now.
I don't know. Garrett Nussmeier is also probably the favorite to go number 1 overall. But like, you just had such a disappointing start to the season.
Yeah.
And your first thing, now I don't know if it was his very first thing in the press conference, but post-game presser, I want you to say, this is what we need to do better. This is what we did wrong. And I'm a harsh grader of post-game pressers. If you are pointing to the other team and like, they also stunk, what does that say about you? It's like when you know, like student sections like make chants where they're like where they're essentially chanting things like you stink and things of that sort. And it's like, well, you're not much like Dabo. If they stink, what does that make you?
Yeah.
You lost to the team that you're saying stunk. And you're trying to make up for it by saying we got a 58. That's not good, man.
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about why you got a 58. Let's not point fingers to LSU over there on the other sideline.
You were projected to get a 90, sir.
You were projected to be the ACC champion. And that's still very much in play because we were saying the same things last year after their Georgia loss. And there's still a whole lot of season. There's still the entire ACC season. But it was a lackadaisical effort against an LSU team that also didn't inspire me. Garrett Nussmeier didn't look like a world beater. And yet we're out here and you couldn't move the ball. They had a brand new offensive line. Your defensive line, which is supposed to be the cream of the crop, one of the best in the nation, led by TJ Parker, couldn't do anything against this new look offensive line for LSU. LSU found extreme success on early downs. When you didn't know what was coming, LSU sliced and diced you. They truly pulled away in the middle 8 of that game. Brian Kelly talks about how the second half they dominated Clemson. Well, Brian, I would have liked to see you score a little bit more points if you quote unquote dominated them in the 17-10 win. But they did really pull away in the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of the second half. But this just puts red flags up when it comes to Clemson and what the future of this season looks like for them, because it does feel like a repeat of last season. But if their defensive line can't really find a rhythm, then I'm worried about how the Tigers will fare in the ACC this season.
Well, here's the thing too about Clemson. Like, you're not on the same ACC standard. You're a national championship contender, right? You're supposed to be the team that when an LSU comes to your house, you're going to win those games.
Yeah.
There's been a gradual decline since NIL with the Clemson program. Clemson doesn't want to admit it. Dabo doesn't want to admit it, but it's there. Like, you look at how they were before NIL, you look at how it is now with NIL. Teams close the gap or get better in the portal, and they're still not understanding that aspect.
They don't know how to use the portal.
Yeah, so they continue to come into each season with a good team, but it's not good enough because Ohio State can go get a Caleb Downs, because other teams can go pick up some of these top-tier talents and improve what they already have. And Clemson's still trying to do essentially the traditional way to recruit kids, get guys that are going to stay for a couple years, develop talent. Like, dude, it's not good enough to ascend back to that top tier. And every era of college football, your teams that don't make adjustments get left behind. Florida State, Miami were pretty much our BCS teams in the 2000s, right? Like it was always either one of those teams.
Yeah.
They did not make adjustments once the college football playoff started. Then you get Ohio State, Bama, Georgia, Michigan. We got a new crop of
There's
people.
a new crop.
Yep.
They understand that, all right, well, now I just have to be one of the best 4 teams and I have to be peaking at the right time, where the other schools were like, oh, wait, computers don't figure this out for us anymore. We can't get points by winning 74-5 anymore.
Yeah. And now you've got the expanded playoff era, and teams are making moves to improve by adding to what they already have and whatnot. And Clemson just hasn't figured it out. And so I would say that just winning the ACC isn't good enough, man. This isn't Tech. This isn't SMU. This isn't Florida State. Like this is
Clemson. Make the Final Four. Now I'm not going all the way and saying that Clemson is a team that should expect to win the national championship each and every year, but it's a team that should be finding their way into the Final Four nearly each and every year. They've got 9+ wins every single season over the last 14 years. They're the only program to do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, why not, man? Like Dabo and Kirby Smart are 2 coaches that I will never let off the hook, because the only thing that ever stopped y'all from being great was Nick Saban. He's gone.
Okay.
You should be dominating college football. You had a lead on all these guys. Dabo Swinney was established way before Ryan Day got going. Way before anybody else got going. Look at Lanning out in Oregon. Like Kirby Smart already had a couple national championships. So why are you not at the top still? What happened?
What happened is, you said it already. NIL. They not Kirby Smart.
Yeah,
Georgia's
not Kirby.
They're national champion contenders every year.
Georgia's offensive coordinator.
But
that's their issue.
Yeah. but like Dabo and Clemson's issue is NIL. They just have not adapted to it. He's slow to adapt. And
ask SMU how to do it. They got you.
I mean, they were doing it back in the 70s with the Pony Express.
Yeah, like
they've been hip.
Free my guys.
They've been hip to it, but it just something to monitor. And I don't love Dabo Swinney pointing fingers immediately after the game. Focus on yourself. Then maybe if you want to go into a war of words. And I think Brian Kelly handled it perfectly. I love that level of confidence from Brian Kelly, and finally he's able to show some of that after week 1, because they finally get a week 1 win under him. So
I got a hot take for you. Conspiracy theory. I'm calling my shot again.
Okay.
All right. DeBoer is not making it through the season.
Yes, he is.
He's not making it.
Yes, he is. His buyout is $70 million.
Somebody's going to fight him.
No, stop it. He is making
Dabo
it through
Swinney
the
to Bama some kind of way next year. Watch.
His buyout is Kalen DeBoer is making it through a season. Now,
dude, they are crashing out in Alabama.
Yeah, they are, but Alabama ain't got $70 million.
Oh, man. Maybe Nick will pay it himself
and come back.
Right. I don't think he'll come back.
All right, youngins, I'm back.
I'm really shocked that he didn't have a legacy hire. You know, like a lot of those coaches do that.
I am too. I am very shocked. But I mean, all of his legacy hires have gone and left. Like Sark gone.
He's got to have one more. He's got to have one more kid.
Kirby's gone.
Kirby was probably his golden child. Sark is the one that's consistent. And then the problem child is Lane. Miss Terry would have liked Lane to come back.
I would have loved it. That would have added so much SEC fire to it all if they stole Ole Miss's coach to come.
Lane can't proceed.
It wasn't out of the box hire too, because Kalen DeBoer never had Southern experience. Like the South, like the SEC, we joke about it, but it does mean more. Like that football is different than what he did at Fresno State and at Washington.
Brian Kelly developed that Louisiana accent when he got hired.
And he's been able to kind of adapt, but he's now understanding that the SEC and the Southern college football stuff means more. Very out of the box hire, and it's so far coming back to bite them. And he will make it through the season. I'm comfortable in saying that. All right, let's get a break in here. On the other side, we've got Virginia football power rankings, our first edition here of the 2025 season. Stay with us to figure out who came in third.
Catch up on the latest horse racing news with Off to the Races live broadcast, 10 to 11 every Saturday morning on 106.1 ESPN. Presented by The Racing Biz.
Summertime in RVA means Richmond Kickers soccer games at City Stadium. Family fun, food trucks, and men's soccer action on the field. Tickets online at richmondkickers.com.
Air Supply. 50th anniversary celebration, November 23rd. Dominion Energy Center. Performing their iconic hits in one night. On sale at DominionEnergyCenter.com. Cooler fall temperatures are coming, and that means perfect weather for a round of golf at Queenfield Golf Club. Queenfield is a beautifully secluded 18-hole course just a few minutes east of Mechanicsville that offers a spacious driving range, practice greens and bunkers, and professionally maintained golf course. Take the afternoon off or schedule your tee time today by calling 804-769-8838 or reserve your spot online at queenfieldgolf.com. Queenfield Golf Club, RVA's best kept secret.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-743-8080. That's 1-800-743-8080.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Looking to grow your local business? Let's team up. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick, host of Fitz the Bill on ESPN Richmond. Together, we can craft on-air campaigns that drive customers right through your doors. Ready to collaborate? Email me, jack.fitzpatrick@summitmediacorp.com.
All right, who's number 3 on the Virginia Football Power Rankings? That's the question everyone's asking.
Number 3?
Hey, it drove conversation, didn't it?
It drove curiosity. You're right.
That's what we do it for.
Nobody wants to be in the middle.
All right.
The front of the back.
Here's the question. With our Virginia Football Power Rankings, do we start at number 1 or do we start at number 5 and work our way up?
You should start at whatever you think will be the most controversial. Is it your first pick or your last?
All right, we'll go 1 through 5 then. Number 1 in our Virginia Football Power Rankings is Virginia, is UVA. A 48-7 win over Coastal Carolina. Chandler Morris, his status was up in the air, but Tony Elliott at his media availability yesterday answered that exact question, asked by Greg Medea from the Daily Progress, friend of the program, friend of the station. This is Tony Elliott on Chandler Morris's status moving forward after a helmet-to-helmet hit on Saturday against Coastal Carolina.
What are your expectations for Chandler this Saturday? You expect him to practice today and play Saturday? What's the status there?
My expectation is play his tail off. We're going to need him, and he was back in practice yesterday and in full go. And so my expectation is that he has a great week of prep and he's ready to go and brings his best game.
So Chandler Morris will go on Saturday, which is massive news for Virginia as they look to maintain their spot at the top of the Fitz the Bill Virginia Football Power Rankings. But 48-7 win gives them the edge there. They've got their game this weekend, Saturday, 12 p.m. kick against NC State. It's a non-ACC game, one of the weird things, but UVA just showed in that win over Coastal Carolina that this is a different team. The increase in quarterback play from last season to this season is insane. They're coming off their best performance in terms of offensive EPA, offensive expected points added, since their Clemson loss last season. But in that Clemson loss, their offense was kind of cooking. And the increase in QB play, they had one of their best QB performances in quite some time. Chandler Morris was cooking. So they secure the top spot because all the trends point upwards for them. If they're able to win this weekend against NC State, they are for real. Number two in our Virginia Football Power Rankings is James Madison University, a 45-10 win over Weber State. The game did get a little wonky there in the middle of the game. I'll be 100% honest. I was there and I was a little upset with the way that game was going. But at the end of the day, it's a 45-10 win. And that is exactly how you want to get your season started, at home against an FCS opponent, which was not the case last season in head coach Bob Chesney's first year at JMU. And Alonzo Barnett III, after tearing his ACL 9 months ago, he was back as the starting quarterback with no brace. So that is good news for JMU, and he looked like he was on it. He was able to run, rushed for a touchdown, took a couple of hits, bounced up, looked like it was no big deal. So JMU, after a 35-point win over an FCS team, they get the number 2 spot in our football power rankings. Number 3, Virginia Tech. And this might ruffle some feathers because Liberty is number 4, but Virginia Tech is 0-1. And Virginia Tech, you could argue, maybe should be below Liberty. But the defense showed flashes of being elite on Sunday against South Carolina. Held down Lenore Sellers fairly well. They're going to need something out of their offense. But the way I like to do power rankings is if these teams played each other, who would win? For UVA and JMU, it's really close. I think UVA gets the slight edge because I think they've got the trenches kind of on their side of it. They're slightly bigger in the trenches. For Virginia Tech, kind of looking at how they would shape up against Liberty, I think because of the defensive ability that was on display on Sunday against South Carolina, Virginia Tech gets the edge over Liberty. And so Liberty is number 4. It was a 28-7 win. Excuse me. It was a 28-7 win, but it was 7-7 with Maine going into the fourth quarter. That's not good. And Ethan Vasco combined for all the touchdowns for the Liberty Flames, 3 passing, 1 rushing. Didn't inspire a lot of confidence for me. And a lot of the time during the offseason, I was hearing how Liberty didn't have high expectations going into this. The reports from camp kind of seemed a little dampened. Didn't seem like there was a ton of hype around them. And then that opening game showed me that, maybe those rumblings were true coming out of Liberty. So that is a team to monitor. Right now, they're 4th in our Virginia football power rankings. And our 5th team, this might ruffle some feathers. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Virginia Union. I'm going all levels here. And what Virginia Union did against Miles College was crazy. And look, I understand this might be insane because they are Division II, right?
No, they're good. They're a good program.
They're a great program. Yeah. And this is over ODU. This is over Richmond, William and Mary, all of those teams. But I just think, now, maybe I'm going against myself here where I said if these teams played head-to-head, this is who gets the edge. But what Union did against Miles was impressive. And this is a Virginia Union squad that is coming off of a deep Division II playoff run. They lost a couple of big-time players in the transfer portal, but they're able to retain their quarterback. They're able to retain some other guys and then bring in some big-time players, specifically at the running back position to replace Jada Byers. Went on the road, neutral site game in Canton, Ohio. Miles College came into the game ranked 25th in the preseason coaches poll. And not only did they blow them out with a 45-3 win, they outgained them 556 yards to 249. It never was close, and Union looked the part of the best team in the CIAA, looked the part as one of the top teams in the state of Virginia. You can only play who's on your schedule in this case. It's going to be all Division II opponents, but Union looked very, very, very good. So I kind of wanted to just shout them out there because their performance in the opening weekend on Sunday up at Canton, Ohio was very, very impressive. With a lot of question marks coming into the season, Union, I think, answered a lot of them, turned some into periods, turned others into exclamation points. They are going to be a force this year in the CIAA. And heck, if they're able to get into the Division II playoffs, could be a force and maybe go on a little bit of a run like they did last year as well. I have ODU just on the outside looking in. ODU played well to start against Indiana, but kind of faltered late. But I like what ODU is doing, and I feel like I'm a broken record. Feels like Groundhog Day every season. I like what ODU is like going into the season. I buy their stock, and then by middle of the season, I have to sell off their stock, and it's rinse and repeat, do it all over again. Feels like I'm falling into that same trap, but hopefully this year they prove me right. All right, let's get our last break in here. We'll step aside, be back to wrap up this Wednesday edition of Fitz the Bill on 106.1 ESPN Richmond.
Are you suffering from a sports injury, chronic pain, or something that just plain hurts? Ortho Virginia can help get you on the road to recovery. As the state's largest provider of orthopedic care, Ortho Virginia's team of specialists offers surgical and non-surgical treatment options. With 12 offices conveniently located in the Richmond area, visit orthovirginia.com or call 804-915-1910 to discover why at Ortho Virginia, stronger starts here.
Thursday Night Football is here. 106.1 ESPN Richmond is kicking it off in style. The NFL talk gets going with Racing Hill from 6 to 7. Then join us live at Dave & Buster's in Short Pump for our brand new NFL pregame show Countdown to Kickoff. This week, hosted by Jack Fitzpatrick of Fitz The Bill. Jack will get you set for one of the league's fiercest rivalries, the Cowboys and Eagles, under the lights on Thursday Night Football. It's all presented by Dave & Buster's in Short Pump and 106.1 ESPN Richmond. Your home for the NFL all season long and where Richmond talks sports.
This is Ben Ingram with the Atlanta Braves. When I'm on the road to D.C. and Baltimore, I always tune in to 106.1 ESPN Richmond for all my sports news. They've got you covered.
Welcome back in 106.1 ESPN Richmond. I'm Jack Fitzpatrick, Allen alongside. And we want to let you guys know that ESPN Richmond and Fitz the Bill, proud to be a sponsor of the Virginia Council of CEOs Fall Leaders Conference on September 25th. Check out the link in our Instagram bio, Fitz the Bill, ESPN RVA, to get your tickets. Use code FITZ at checkout to be part of this event. That's at Fitz the Bill, ESPN RVA on Instagram. Get your tickets. Use code FITZ, FITZ at checkout to be part of the Virginia Council of CEOs Fall Leaders Conference. We are out at Dave & Buster's tomorrow from 6 until 8. From 6 to 7, it's going to be Raise and Hail. From 7 to 7:45, when our coverage begins of the game, it's our countdown to kickoff. We'll be out at Dave & Buster's in Short Pump previewing the Eagles-Cowboys game that kicks off the 2025 NFL season. We are super, super excited about that. So come on out. Crush a few arcade games, grab some food, brag about your big win to us on air, and maybe come on by, give us your takes, give us your picks for who's going to win the game, who's going to win the Super Bowl, how the Commanders are going to do. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time out there at Dave & Buster's in Short Pump. And also tomorrow is the Richmond's Coaches Show over at Bar West. Head on out to Bar West if you can at noon. They've got delicious food. You can go ask a couple of questions. And if you're not able to go out there in person, of course, it is live on ESPN Richmond as well, starting at noon, the first Coaches Show of Richmond football's 2025 season. So, man, this just broke about an hour or so ago, maybe a little longer, because it came out with the Pablo Torre Finds Out podcast. And Alan, Pablo Torre doing more investigative journalism than anyone
Pablo Torre
else.
be doing too much.
He'd be finding out, man. His Pablo Torre Finds Out, man, that is the truth. ESPN unleashed the beast when they didn't re-sign his contract. He used to be just the ESPN daily host, and then he would, feature on some of their shows. I loved Pablo Torre when he was doing that. I love him even more with Pablo Torre Finds Out. They have unleashed a beast. That didn't unleashed a beast. There we go. Man, talking in me right now this morning. But he was reporting that the Clippers did some shady business. They're reporting that Kawhi Leonard signed a $28 million endorsement with a fraudulent tree planting company.
You don't think Kawhi's a tree person?
Funded by Clippers owner Steve Ballmer to, quote, circumvent the salary cap rules. Wow. Look, I've been saying this, man. I was telling you off air, Alan, I don't get why Jeff Bezos doesn't buy a football team or a basketball team or something. You give everyone the league minimum, and then you hire them all on as Amazon employees, giving them $25 million a year or however much they want as salary.
All this sounds legit to me. I don't know what you guys are talking
That's what I'm saying. Look, he got paid money for services rendered to a fraudulent trade company.
When you phrase it like that, it's definitely not legit.
It's so not legit. But I'm shocked that this is so far, because we know Pablo Torre be finding out. This is the only thing so far that has come out where a team has done this type of thing.
Given the Clippers' history, I think they can get over this.
Do you think it's because they're the little brother and they're always trying to one up their big brother, the Lakers? Do you think they're like, listen, pay attention to me, pay attention to me?
I think that in this case, the competitive edge was necessary, and they still didn't really close the gap. I mean, people still talk about the Lakers way more than they talk about the Clippers.
Poor Clippers. When they had that team come together at first, everyone was like, here come the Clippers. Here they come. They're going to be championship contenders. And then they're like, oh, wait, that's right. Kawhi only plays 20 games a season because he doesn't feel like playing the rest.
Paul George doesn't play.
And Paul George doesn't play. Man. Kawhi, here's a fun hypothetical, right? If Kawhi didn't do load management, would we care about load management as much as we do? Like, I feel like he is the poster child of load management because he only plays like 40 games a season.
No, I think when I think of load management and the issues, I think it's more around LeBron and like Embiid, especially Embiid. But the LeBron thing, I think, is just from a marketing standpoint, people get frustrated. But I mean, again, at this day and age, and as much mileage as he's put on his body, he's the one guy that should be allowed to have some days off from time to time, because he's played a significant amount of minutes well into his career. So I don't take as much issue with it with him. But like Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, and these other guys who just can't stay healthy in general, I think that's where a lot of the frustration comes from.
Hey, no days off, man.
And Kawhi's injuries have been legitimate.
Yeah. And then now he just kind of rests a lot. Like he is a very interesting player, like just not caring at all, which is funny that he's the one that has found himself in the middle of this, because he seems to be a player that just doesn't really care about the spotlight, seems to not really care about the money as much, just like is playing for the love of the game. And now he's the one that has found himself signing an endorsement deal with a fraudulent tree company. I'm very intrigued to know if Kawhi,
a fraudulent tree company.
Also, couldn't you have been better? Like Steve Ballmer, can't you do it like a fraudulent software company or something?
So Cali, fraudulent tree company.
I wonder if when they say tree, if they mean tree or like tree.
No, they mean tree.
You know, like palms.
Yeah,
not like
what you're talking
about. We're gonna go out to the phone lines here to wrap up this Wednesday edition of Fitz the Bill. Bruce is on line one. Good morning, Bruce. How we doing?
Good morning, Fitz. Good morning, Alan. I will see y'all tomorrow. Let's make that official right now.
We'll be here.
See y'all tomorrow. I'll see y'all. But I'm going to see y'all up in Short Pump, too.
Oh, perfect.
Hey, guys. Fitz, you missed something, bro. You missed something. You need to rewind the tape and play it today, because Alan just slipped something by you that you didn't count, that you didn't catch. As the young folks say, on cap. Alan made the assertion. He cleaned it up, but he threw LeBron in with load management. And there's nothing, Alan, further from the truth when it comes to LeBron.
You know, man. Based on my algorithm, anytime he takes a break, the same meme comes up. Kobe played with 2 torn ACLs.
I'll be honest, Bruce. I love LeBron. I'm the biggest LeBron defender. I think he's the GOAT. All of that stuff. I will say he load manages. Dude has not played in Charlotte in years. He magically has an injury every time they play in Charlotte, but doesn't the game before or the game after.
You ever seen him in Washington Bruce?
Yes, I saw him make a game-winning three-pointer off the glass.
How long ago was that?
Oh, it's been 5 years.
All right.
4 years.
It's all, again, in my opinion, he's earned it. By all accounts, man, he played a lot of minutes in his career. A lot of minutes.
And the only reason he hasn't played in Charlotte, guys, I'm gonna drop a little history fact on y'all. There's one team in the NBA that's never played on Christmas Day. That answers the Charlotte question. Look it up.
He's scared of Jordan.
One team in the NBA.
Not anymore.
One team in the NBA. Yeah, one team in the NBA has never played on Christmas Day. One team. Look it up.
You're right.
Charlotte
you're
Hall.
right. But I mean, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So that's just one. I'll see y'all tomorrow, though, man. I may see y'all morning. I may see y'all evening. No doubt.
We look forward to it, Bruce. Thank you so much for calling in. Have a great Wednesday. See you tomorrow out at Dave & Buster's in Short Pump as we count down to kickoff between the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Peace.
There goes Bruce. I see what he's saying about Charlotte as a charlatan for 3 years.
A charlatan is great.
It is funny. A friend of mine works in sales for them.
Yeah.
And he's just like, man, LeBron never plays here, but he never plays here. But we always cross our fingers.
And they always promote it too.
Come on out this Wednesday to see LeBron, even though he hasn't played here in 10 years. Go on against the Hornets.
I've actually caught pretty much everybody there except for LeBron.
And the tickets are very expensive. Like LeBron plays there.
Yep. They never change it.
Hey, this new J. Cole leadership team down in Charlotte is going to change the culture.
Right.
They just got to figure out some trainers that don't hurt all of their players like they have the last couple of years. This isn't a Charlotte. Let me stop with the Charlotte Hornets talk.
Invest in trees, people.
Hey, invest in trees, specifically the fraudulent tree companies. Invest in them. It looks like their stocks are going up right now. Pablo Torre, he'd be finding out.
How did this even get under the radar financially, man? Like there's got to be a paper trail.
I truly don't know, and it makes me believe that there is this is happening across the league. And it is so funny to me that Kawhi Leonard is the first one to have it uncovered.
Well, he's not going to tell anybody.
Apple. All right, you want a shot at 50,000 in cold hard cash? Bull Rush just dropped a brand new sports comp, the NFL Survivor total prize pool. We've been talking about it, $100,000, where first place gets 50 grand straight up. Think you've got the picks to survive 20 weeks? Sign up now. Join now and prove it. Because once the games start on Thursday, you'll lose out on the opportunity. So sign up now at bullrush.com/ESPN. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place on your dial with Fitz the Bill. And then starting at 6 out at Dave & Buster's in Short Pump, we'll have Raise and Hail from 6 to 7. And then we'll have Countdown to Kickoff from 7 until 7:45. Can't wait to see you at Dave & Buster's in Short Pump. Keep it locked right here, ESPN Richmond, because we are where Richmond talks sports. Fitz the Bill.
From the ESPN studio,
Presented by
this isn't fantasy football, it's real competition. Welcome to the NFL Survivor Tournament. You versus the field. $100 to enter, $100,000 in total prizes, $50K to the winner. Start each week with a $100K bankroll. Pick games, win returns. Top 80% survive. Bottom 20%, you're out. Bankroll resets weekly. No carryover. 20 weeks, $100K. Will you take home the cash? Sign up, lock in, and let's see if you've got the guts to survive.